You guys, today we have a real special guest, Dianne Lawson, astrologer, right? Astrologer.
Right.
Sometimes I mess up and say astrologist. And I'm really excited because she's going to talk to us about the planets and the United States and all of these changes. Here we are coming into 2022. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I love to have you on, once a year to give us the update. What are the planets doing? What does it mean to us,
Okay, well, they are doing a heck of a lot. They are doing a heck of a lot. And I think probably most of the people who are watching understand that we're in the middle of a revolution. We're in the middle of a big shift, a big change, and people can feel it. And a lot of people are anxious and they don't need to be. I'm going to start about talking about the fact that we're in the middle of a really important shift in the whole world that happens about every 250 years. And we could go back quite a ways, but I'm just going to go back 500 years ago. And that was during the time of the Protestant Reformation and also the Industrial Revolution. And those two events drastically changed the world. They changed the connection between religion and government, and no longer was, one church pretty much having connections with most of the world, but there were a lot of splinters, a lot of changes. A lot of people felt like they were taking power into their own hands, taking it away from somebody who had power over them. And my gosh, the Industrial Revolution totally transformed cities. It transformed people's lives. It was just a major, major shift. And then if we go forward 250 years, which was 250 years ago, was the time of the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution. Did I say Industrial Revolution twice? Am I getting all excited?
I think you did.
The first 500 years ago was the Protestant Revolution and the printing press, which gave, I'm sorry, I'm just getting too excited.
Hey, we got, all right.
It's pretty exciting. And that changed how we could get, common people could start getting information for the first time ever. Information was not chained to a church or chained to a library. They could get paper in their own hand. Printing press totally changed the world. Okay, 250 years ago was the American Revolution and the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution, which changed cities and changed how people interacted with each other and what they did during the day. Now, in the current period, and I don't know what to call it, we could call it information revolution. I call it just the current revolution because there are major shifts. There are major shifts in how people are viewing one another, where there are all these different kinds of movements going on. People are just fighting. I mean, if you don't think, we're having stress now, but we certainly had stress with the American Revolution. There were people who thought we should keep ties with England, and people thought we should be free. And then, talk about the times, 250 years before that, people were arguing about what church they should belong to. I mean, it's a time of people just having real struggles with each other.
Yeah, because, I always say all change is uncomfortable. Whether you win $1 million or, you lose a loved one, like all change is uncomfortable. Right. So like what you're saying is people are arguing because there's some people that are holding on to the old, like, please don't fall away. Right. And they're getting mad at the people that are like, well, I'm excited for this shift, for this change, and the people, because that's another question too, is in your line of work, it just seems like it seems to me that there's this percentage of people that are kind of blinded or hiding from the truth almost, you know what I mean? Don't take away our old. So they're not even looking to the possibility that things are changing and shifting majorly right now.
Right, right. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. But the people who are holding on to the old would not agree with you. I mean, people are just seeing things so drastically differently from each other. It's pretty, I've never seen this. I mean, even during the height of the Vietnam War, people were kind of for the war or against the war, and there were strong feelings. But now, my gosh, there's strong feelings about everything. Everything. I mean, I don't want to talk to people about anything. Practically. I was going to mention these things, but I don't want to make people mad. No matter what I say innocently, sometimes it just sets people off.
Yeah. And that's going to be their lesson, right? It's got to be their lesson, but it is true. Cause you're like, you get along with somebody, you're like, well, can I say this? Or are they going to lose their mind, you know? But yeah, it's kind of funny. Well, I remember, was it last year or maybe the year before when COVID was going wild, and you even had said you had your family members, some of them were like locked up in their house, and like your son, you were like, he was toting his gun, walking into places, you know? So, I mean, yeah, we're all, you know, experiencing different realities.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have told that. Yeah,
told it again. But you know,
refuses to wear a mask, would go places where he was supposed to wear a mask, and he had this big fancy holster and guns, very obvious, and nobody bothered to ask him about his mask.
Yeah, a lot of people, you know, stop wearing them, and nobody bothers, you know. Only once in a while you get like a little old lady. I had a little old lady get really upset one time, but other than that, nobody really was caring, you know what I mean? But anyway, so.
Well, I shouldn't have told that story, because I'm surprised a whole lot of people didn't get mad at that story, but I can't control him. He's grown up now. And
well, and that's the thing, is like, we need to allow ourselves to express ourselves without the fear of, you know, being attacked. And that's happening all over the place. And I think people are finally like, okay, I'm just going to share my truth. Mm-hmm. And friendships are falling away, families are falling apart, but what is the alternative?
Well, you know, I think the alternative, one of the things I'm really learning is I have really strong views about everything, but I have an awful lot of family members I dearly love who totally disagree with me, and they're bright and they're educated, and they just don't see things the same way I do. And so I have to learn how to love people whether they agree with me or not. And one of the things I'm really becoming aware of is there is not one person on the face of the earth who agrees with me on everything. There's true. Not one person. And if I was trying to only love people who were just exactly like me, I would have one person on earth to love, and that would be me and nobody else.
Yeah, that's true. No, yeah. And I think, you know, when we think about science and spirituality and astrology, like, we all are our own little planet on top of this other planet. We're so unique, right? We're so very unique in our beliefs and our human experience and our pasts. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that astrology has really taught me is every single person on earth has a unique birth chart, unlike anybody else's. And however, everybody has exactly the same planets and the same signs in their birth chart. And so we have the same needs. We're very similar in being human and wanting to be loved and wanting to belong and a lot of other things, but we're all very unique. So I like the way that astrology points that out to me.
I like that too. I like all the different modalities that you could get this type of information. Mm-hmm. So why is all this happening? Tell us about the planet or the planets.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start by saying what's going on for the United States, and that will explain what's going on in the United States and the world and us individually. But one of the things that's major that is going on this year, it's been going on for a few years, it's going to be going on for a few more years, is the United States is having its Pluto return. And what that means is when this country was born in 1776, Pluto was at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And Pluto is way out there. It's very slow moving. It takes about 250 years to go around the signs of the zodiac. And it has gone around all the signs of the zodiac, and it's once again exactly at the same place it was at our country's birth, 27 degrees of Capricorn. And when planets return to the same place they were at their birth, or the country's birth, or a person's birth, it's like major time to kind of look at what in the heck you're doing and what's going on. And but Pluto is the planet of birth and death and rebirth and transformation. And I kind of think of it as a volcano. There's this magma underground, and it's kind of hiding there dormant for a long time. And then all of a sudden it erupts. And when it's erupting, it's bringing up things that have been hidden underground. It's bringing up things that have been not conscious, we're not aware of, things we've been stuffing down, denying, repressing. And while it's happening, it can be pretty ugly. And I see that as some of the anger that's going on in the United States and of course around the world. I mean, all this fighting we're talking about. But then when the lava comes down, it's incredibly fertile. It has new growth, healthy growth, better than before. And so I think of us as now in this explosion, and we're certainly bringing things out in the open that we have not seen before.
Yeah, shocking stuff.
Yes, shocking stuff.
And because of the technology, the information is spreading so quickly, so rapidly across social medias,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It also, Pluto also has a lot to do with sex and corruption. So we're seeing all this information, all these sexual.
Oh, wow. Like the pedophilia and stuff.
Coming at what?
Like the pedophilia and stuff, the sexual.
Yes, and human trafficking.
Yes.
Yes. A lot of people may not know this, but we have more slaves today than we have ever had in the history of the world. And they're sexual slaves. Human trafficking is worse now than it's ever been. And that's coming to light. And people are recognizing it, and they're not turning their heads away from that. So, but it also rules, Pluto also rules destruction of all kinds and war. And there's a lot of scary stuff going on in the world, but I think we're, the whole world has been in a lot of scary places. A lot of, and we get through it. And I think we're going to get through this too. And I have a lot of clients who are freaking out, asking me if we're going to have an atomic war. And I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't feel that either. No. I think a lot of this is a lot of illusion to like sway us too, to believe this or believe that. Mm-hmm. So, wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. That is pretty wild. So you were saying this is going to last for a while, right? Why? Because it's like slowly moving.
Pluto is so slow that it has an effect for years. The moon moves around so quickly. The moon just has a really temporary effect, but Pluto is so slow. And Pluto doesn't just go forward over 27 degrees of Capricorn. It goes forward and then it goes back and then it goes forward. And that's based upon our relative positions. I mean, of course, Pluto doesn't go back and forth, but it looks like it to us based on, where we are. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like
the percentage of where it's at, like 20, the degrees, 27
Yeah,
degrees.
That's based on our perspective only.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like if you're driving down the road and you pass a car and look like it's going backwards, but it's not really. It's just based on your relative positions.
Okay.
And all the planets do that.
Yeah. So then when do human people have a Pluto return? Do they? Because it's
Oh,
250
no,
years.
because we're not, unless we lived more than 250 years.
Okay.
Anyway, but then I keep mentioning that Pluto's in the sign of Capricorn. I want to talk about specifically what Capricorn does.
Okay.
Capricorn, it has a lot to do with everything. I mean, there are only 12 signs and they have a connection to everything on earth. So a heck of a lot of stuff is attributed to each sign. A lot of stuff is attributed to Capricorn. But Capricorn does have a connection to structure and infrastructure and governments and politics. And that's why, Pluto was in Capricorn, 250 years ago and 200 and 500 years ago, and why there was big shifts in kind of the structure of people's lives. And it's going to be again. And I think there's going to be a lot of changes in politics, and Capricorn is an earth sign, and it rules the physical earth. And so I think there's going to be a lot of shifts in the environment. I think we're going to start taking better care of our environment.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Something I was talking to my friend about is how, they're like pushing the gas prices way, way high. And then now they're advertising electric cars, right? So, it's so funny to me. Like once you see what they're up to, it's like, you're just like watching to see like what they're really up to. And I'm like, so then she showed me a picture of what it takes to create one of those batteries. And I was just devastated at how they have to drill down deep down into the earth to make a battery. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, all of this stuff isn't the greatest for us, fossil fuels and all that, but they're making it seem like this is going to be greener, and it just doesn't seem that way. So I'm like, we've got to take care of our earth.
Well, we have to. I think we're going to, Pluto in Capricorn, one of the things it is about transformation and rebirth. And it's also, I didn't talk enough about control. It's about control. People are wanting to take control of their lives. And I think that's a lot of what the vaccine and the mask were like. People wanted to take control and then, not have anybody, not having the government telling them what to do. But then people who are wanting to take the vaccine and the mask wanted to have control over their own bodies and take control of their own health. So I think on both sides of practically every issue is today, it's about control.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could think about, the guns or abortion, or politics. You could think of all of that. It's all about people want control of their own lives.
Yeah. Where I see that going too is like a lot of people moving, going into land, starting to become more sustainable, or wanting to, or jumping on the bandwagon with other people. So like you said, infrastructure, control, land. I don't know, to me, all of those keywords, it's like, and control, being able to control their own sustainability, to control their food coming in and stuff, And on the other end, with government wanting to step in and control the other end, like, we'll just give you your food for free, we'll just give you all this stuff, but you have to be this good citizen and blah, 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 blah. At least that's my perspective on that. So control both sides, right? Some people are like, no, you're not going to control me. Right. And then some people are like, please control me so I don't have to worry.
Oh, well.
You get to choose, right?
Yeah. And, I should also be talking about money, because money and control, they go together. And Pluto has a correspondence with money. And there are huge shifts going on right now in terms of money and how we spend our money. There's Bitcoins and all these cryptocurrencies, but there's also, right now, I live in Topeka, Kansas, and we are tearing down a whole mall that I remember, it was new not very long ago, and our other newer mall has all these big empty stores. Nobody's going shopping anymore. They're spending their money online. And people are fighting about that too.
Right? Everybody's like up in an uproar. So I messaged myself something because I was thinking about money. I'm always texting myself. Um, I feel like compensation is going to be different, is what I wrote to myself. The necessity to share it comes first, and then compensation will fade away. Almost like, not that we're all going to become online coaches, but I mean, you and I are, right? But I feel like a lot more people are going to be giving their craft out of a necessity, maybe helping some people, helping you learn how to grow food because you never did it before, right? And then at first you're compensating them, but eventually I don't know, I feel like some of that's going to go away.
Well, you know what, Capricorn has a lot to do with career, especially in somebody's individual birth chart. But if you notice, careers are drastically changing. People are doing more of what they want to do. And during the pandemic, people called it the Great Resignation because so many people resigned from their jobs. I mean, huge numbers of people left their work. And if you go to any restaurant or any store, you see these help wanted signs. I was like, where in the heck did everybody go?
Yeah.
But more and more people are demanding control of their lives through their career and are doing what they want to do. And I'm happy about that because you and I are doing exactly what we want to do. And we are so delighted with it. And I would love it if other people could do that too.
Yes. When I left corporate America and I knew I was never going back, I was like, everybody needs to do this. Please, but I mean, and so, and I'm the one, like, everybody's got to share. I'm like, why are you working? It's sucking the life out of you. You know what I mean? But everybody has to have their choice, but right. Yeah, I love that. And I think like our generation too, like, at least for my experience, I was breaking the rules by not having that career or that job, or, you know what I mean? So it was like an emotional struggle, but like now I'm like, I am helping pave the way. Like if we could do it, then they could do it.
Right. Well, I live in Topeka, Kansas, and I consider it a pretty conservative place, and I'm working as an astrologer. And what's interesting, though, is I have never had anybody say anything negative about it. I tell people I'm an astrologer, and they say, great, or wow. And I say, yes. But I think a lot of it has to do, and the reason I'm telling you this is I know a lot of people that are listening are wanting to do what their heart is telling them to do. And I really feel if they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, the universe runs to them and greets them and accepts them. And, it's a really grand thing.
It really, truly, truly is. And, since you brought that up, and right before we started recording, I was telling you I was taking an astrology class and how like boggled my mind when I'm like, it's like algebra because it's so, I don't even know the word for it. Deep, like there's so many moving components, right? And you were saying, yeah, how long did you say you have been studying it? You're still studying it.
I have been a professional since 1973.
Oh, I was one. So, but the question I guess I have, or something I want to share is once I started learning a little bit more, right, about my little chart and about the little houses and stuff, it seems to me that everything that's on my chart is something that I've desired, that I want. So the chart is like reflecting how I kind of already feel, but because I didn't have the guidance, like we kind of get stuck, like, am I allowed to have this desire to travel and talk and be a spiritual coach? And then the chart is like, well, yes, you are.
Yes. Yeah, I see the individual birth chart is guideposts to lead the way, tell us what we're supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to be watching out for. Yeah, I think astrology is certainly been the best tool for me. And there are a lot of other tools on the earth, but I'm telling you, for me, it totally changed my life. I had my chart done by a professional astrologer long before I started studying it, and she just blew my mind. I thought, how in the heck did she know so much about me? And back then, this was like pre-Google by a long shot. There was no way she could have looked that much up. And I left her and I went to the public library to see how the heck she did that. Came out with a pile of books and devoured them, and because I couldn't figure it out. But it's been really helpful in my life in terms of what I'm supposed to be doing and when I'm supposed to be doing it and where I'm supposed to go. I mean, it's just been amazing for me in terms of health.
I love that. So one of the teachers that it was teaching that class was telling me something about I'm 49 and I have some sort, I think she said Saturn return. Does that make sense?
Okay, you have a Saturn return around the ages of 28 to 30 and around the age of 58 to 60.
Oh, well,
So,
then that's
yeah,
not me.
yeah. And for those people listening, Saturn is when it returns around to the same place as it was at the time of your birth. And it takes about 29 years for that to happen. So I don't know what that person was talking about. And
I don't know. Something's
Saturn brings
returning.
something else in your chart. But
I'm
Saturn-
like, I think something returned. So I'm having the death and the rebirth sort of thing. But I think a lot of
Oh,
people are
yeah.
having that.
we have
right?
a lot of opportunities for death and rebirth.
Yay.
It
I'm like going
never
through that.
quits. It never quits. If we're here, we're supposed to still be learning.
Yeah, something's dying and something's being born at all times, right?
Well, it feels like it. Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's something I do like about the astrology is you can go, oh, okay, this is why. Or, oh, I need to be more patient in these areas of my life, that type of thing.
Mhm, mhm. I think it also is helpful to know that we're all supposed to go through cycles. People usually have major shifts at about 28 to 30 and 58 to 60. They're supposed to. It's a time of growth and transformation. And it's nice to know ahead of time that those are coming so that you can prepare.
Yeah, big changes. Wow.
Mhm.
Very cool. You said there was two big things happening. Did you talk about both things?
Well, that I wanted to talk about the fact that we're in this 250-year cycle of Pluto and Capricorn. And then the second thing I really wanted to talk about is the fact that the United States of America is having its Pluto return. And, but the United States has such an impact on the rest of the world that I think it's going to have changes. I think the rest of the world is going to be having lots of changes. The United States is going to be having huge social unrest and upheavals and changes and people wanting more control of their lives. And it's not going to get, I don't think that part of our Pluto return is going to get any better until 2004. And then I think it's going
2024?
Oh, 24. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I think it's going to get better. But that doesn't mean it's going to be bad every time. And what it is for me is it's a wonderful opportunity for me to still love people, even though they violently disagree with me. And I am so fortunate. I really am fortunate that I have a lot of family members who violently disagree with me, but they still love me. Because in a lot of families, that just doesn't happen. And I'm so glad that we are able to continue to talk about stuff kind of a little bit.
Yes.
And still let each other know we love each other. We don't have to agree.
That's true. I think that's a huge lesson for everybody right now. Right? I mean,
Lots of opportunities for that.
lots of opportunities. I love the key word there. Opportunities. Oh, wow. So changes in technology, changes in money, changes in government, changes in control,
Right.
all of the great stuff.
Social upheaval. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is also changes in consciousness. People are becoming more and more aware. There is a lot more to reality than we are talking about. All the stuff we were hidden on, when I was talking about the volcano, all the stuff that was hidden underground that we weren't looking at, we weren't supposed to look at. People are talking about, they're realizing that the universe is quite different than
we thought
we were told.
or what we were told. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because everybody who nerd out about that, it's so true. Like Spirit was talking to me and they're talking about simulation. right? They're talking about that this is like a simulation.
Oh,
And
yes. Yeah.
when you go really deep into the science of, quantum physics, the science of spirituality, and you go deeper and deeper, you just, I don't know, then you feel like you're a crazy lady, but that's,
I know exactly what you mean.
they're talking to me about simulation. And I think maybe to put some people that are listening at ease, because all of this unrest, and like we're literally saying, yes, we're in unrest, we're in a revolution. So some people might be having a lot of fear bubble up, right? But
One of the things I really want to get people across is they don't need to be afraid. Our whole lives we have changes. It was scary when we went off to kindergarten. It was scary when we went off to junior high. It's always there. It's always scary. There's always these changes, and that's just part of life, and we don't have to be afraid.
right. And I think like what Spirit's saying with the simulation is, if you can realize that this is just something that you're aware of right now, this is an experience that you're having and you're conscious about it. But if you can see that this is just this moment, it's not your existence, it's not your beingness, right? You're part of all this consciousness. And if you could wrap your head around that, then okay, like if something scary happens, I'm still a soul. I'm still going to be all right. I'm still going to come back around. I'm still living other lifetimes right now, maybe, perhaps, right? So not to have so much fear in this moment, because that's what we don't want that. We don't want fear.
Right. I would agree with that. I think this country, the better it will get through its Pluto return is the more we live up to the ideals and the beliefs that our country was founded on. And back then the world was really an imperfect place. We had slaves, women couldn't vote, women didn't have any legal rights, and it has evolved. It has gotten better, and it's continued to get better. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it's getting better, but we are constantly evolving as a species and as individuals.
Yes, we are. And if we could just be there and be present for that, when stuff that pops up that knocks you off your unicorn, is like I like to say, then just come back to this, right? Just come back to this. So, wow. And so you love helping read people's birth charts and stuff. Is that what you're offering still?
Oh, of course. I don't think I will ever quit. I would really encourage people to go to my website, which is www.diannelawson.com, and Dianne is DIANNELA DIANNELAWSON. I have all these thoughts, and my thoughts are going faster than my mouth can keep up. And the reason why is because they can see what I offer. They can also see my book, Extraordinary Relationships Through Astrology. But I think more people would probably be interested in, they could sign up for my email list and get information from me via email, free astrology information. And you're on my email list, so you know what kinds of stuff I send out.
Yes. So when I got your last email, I was like, hey, we got to put this on the podcast because, woo, yeah, that was a good subject, right? Talking about a revolution. I was like, I'm sure every person on your email list was like, open.
They did. We are in the middle of a revolution. We are in the middle of momentous times right now. And I think people feel that.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. And it's scary. It's kind of like we're going off to college for the first time.
Yeah, I like how you put that. It's true. Your first job interview, or any first in your life, it's scary crap. Living in this human experience, there's something around every corner, and anyway.
It's exciting. It's sometimes terrifying and sometimes painful, but it's exciting.
It's also exciting. Yes, there's so much to look forward to, and for people too to realize that, like you said, I think that we need to live and act like we want our future to be like, or like still hold those values that our country was founded on. And if we could just do that, even though you might see all this other chaos going on, I know we evolve as a species as we, focus our energy in one area. And I feel like that's important
Mhm, mhm.
to focus
And if we
on.
keep true to our own values, what's important to us, yeah, I think it'll help us get through.
Yes, for sure. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast.
Well, I can't thank you enough for inviting me. It's always a delight to see you.
Yes, it is. So thanks so much.
Okay, well, thank you.